One of the lines in this movie is something to the effect of, put your asshole back in your asshole. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today our movie in the middle is Guy Ritchie's Wrath of Man starring Jason Statham. Wrath of Man is about a guy named Hill who joins an organization of highly trained officers who basically transfer money from place to place, huge amounts of money, and he's there for reasons unknown. He's a very mysterious guy, and he's there for some reason, but he is spying on all the other officers there, and he has some sort of mission in mind. While this is a Guy Ritchie movie, it didn't really feel like it was promoted that much, like it was kind of like a January movie. I didn't really know about it until the week of that I actually saw it. But I will say, it is very fun. It's got raving reviews from my brother, and I kind of unironically enjoyed this movie. The biggest high of this movie is that it is very fun if you don't take it way too seriously. It is actually, at times, very well done and has incredible action. The action in this movie is actually really fun and really interesting to watch, and there's a lot of those sequences. A lot of it is very serious and pretty well done, and then some of it is ironically good. It's Jason Statham basically plays a meme of his entire characters. All of the very brooding, robotic kind of, agent. He basically plays that character, and to watch it with just a group of people knowing this is what you're getting into is very fun. It looks like it's more dramatic than it should be, especially the opening. The opening is like this James Bond sort of, his face superimposed over an eagle and, on fire, and it's funny because it's so much more dramatic than it needs to be or is warranted, but you almost get it. The other huge high I did have of this movie is the score. The score's actually incredibly intense, and it's one of those that for just a generic action movie, normally you're just like, okay, this is generic action music, but I actually noticed it. It was really good. It's repeated a lot, but it actually had me on the edge of my seat a little bit. It was pretty suspenseful. And in terms of the story as well, it is very Tarantino-esque in terms of it has different parts to it, like part one, part two, and they're all titled something, and, it kind of goes back and forth between time. You get this one part of the story, then you get what happened before that, and then after that, and at a different time. So then it all comes together at the end. So that is very interesting. It does keep you thinking, and it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then, oh, okay, that's why he's doing that. And it just kind of keeps filling in the gaps. And that was actually pretty well done for the most part. The problem that comes up with this, and is basically my one huge low of the movie that encompasses a lot of different things, is that by the end, because of these different parts, it actually starts to focus on only one or two things for a very long time. The ending is incredibly long, and not so much on some of these other parts that it brought up before that it doesn't ever come back to. There are certain characters that are in the beginning who never come back, ever. There are some characters who are sort of in the beginning or the middle who, you're like, okay, they could end up being the bad guy or something. And it would make a lot of sense, especially because the way that their character is set up, they seem like something's off about them, and we never see them again. And even certain plot lines that are not necessarily abandoned, but just it felt like they should have come back a little bit just to, okay, close out this character or what happened with that. It just feels like the whole movie was a lot of in-depth, filling in all these gaps just to get to this ending, and then it's just, okay, let's just do the whole ending, just one big action scene, and it's gonna be fun. But you didn't take the parts of the story that we still wanted to kind of complete and put them here. There's obviously one very big thing that is completed, and that is Jason Statham's sort of personal vendetta of what he's trying to do. But even then, the problem with Jason Statham's character is that he actually doesn't affect the ending almost at all. He does, in a way, but he actually doesn't really do a whole lot in the climax. He's almost sort of useless, except for a little bit of fighting. At the very end, he does come back and he does something very important to him, but it kind of turns it on its head. You expect him to save a lot of people, you expect him to do a lot of big things, but he mostly just does stuff for himself. It just felt like he wasn't tied into the ending as much as he should have been. And the really big problem is that there's just way too many characters in this movie. There's a lot of them. Like I said, some of them don't even come back. Some of them end up being other roles that you're like, I think it would have made more sense if it was that person or this person. And then some of them get brought up towards the end that get focused on a ton, which I mean makes sense because they end up sort of being the antagonists. But then we focus on them so much that we don't even focus on Jason Statham's character as much. It's really weird. And like I said, the ending is very long. It's only an hour and 53 minutes, the whole runtime. And it feels like a 2 hour and 15-minute movie because the ending just goes on forever. And while it's very awesome and like it's very like the sound in the movie was great and the action was awesome, it just goes on for a very long time and it just kind of keeps going like it's a GTA mission and you just kind of keep going until it's over. The way it does end then is very quick, like right at the end, and then very okay, it's over. And you're like, what about all this other stuff? So overall, Wrath of Man is definitely not a flawless movie by any means. It is probably a step up for Jason Statham and a step down for Guy Ritchie. As one of my brother's friends who I did the podcast with, Shine Like Stars Reviews, he put it that way. And I think that's, for the most part, pretty accurate. I would not have felt that this was a Guy Ritchie movie, except for, like, it feels, plot-wise kind of like it. But it, quality-wise, was okay. But Jason Statham actually did a pretty good job in this. I actually was invested in his character. But it is, for as much as it sort of misses a little bit of the mark at the end, it is an incredibly fun movie. If you're going into it like, we're going to go watch this Jason Statham movie with the boys, and it's just going to be a fun night, and we're going to laugh at all the memes that Jason Statham just, basically sleeping with a woman and then just lying awake there, just dead cold stare into the ceiling. It was pretty funny. It is just a very fun movie if you don't take it way too seriously, but it's serious enough that you can actually invest into it. I'm going to give Wrath of Man a 3 out of 4. Also, Clint Eastwood's son is in this movie, and holy crap does he look like his dad. I mean, just look at this. Let me know what you guys thought of Wrath of Man if you did see it. Did you have as much fun as I did, or did you think it was just really long and stupid? I can see both sides of it. So just a quick announcement. I might be doing Spiral this week. May or may not. Depends on if I'm able to see it. I do want to review it at some point, but if I don't get to do that, or if I do it, after that, I'm going to be taking just a little bit of a break, probably for about a week and a half or so, until A Quiet Place comes out, and I'm going to do A Quiet Place in Cruella that next week. But I'm a little burnt out right now. I've been editing a ton, catching up on all this other stuff for the channel while doing other editing projects, so I'm just going to take a little bit of a hiatus, just a teeny one, not to, worry or anything, and then I'll be back once we get into the big movies that I am really wanting to see. I'm super excited about A Quiet Place. Like, this is gonna be so good. And as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, and your asshole in your asshole. I'll see you guys later.